Hey guys, those of you who watch my channel regularly know that when something needs fixing, I'm usually ready to jump in and try it, even if it's something I've never done before. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you one of those things. This is without a doubt the most difficult repair job I have ever tried. And I can tell you without a doubt, I will never try this again. Drum roll, please. Take it, maestro. This is my 21-year-old Citizen watch, and it's a solar watch. It has an internal capacitor which after 20 years doesn't hold charge anymore. So I was trying to repair it. So I took the back off. I got a new capacitor. Once I got inside, I then had to take this little cover plate off with 4 tiny screws, no problem. But then I had to take off a couple more screws and remove this piece. And when I did, there was an explosion of teeny tiny little parts. It gives you an idea how tiny they are. This is what they call the movement, and this black piece is a movement holder. So the question is, can I get all these things assembled back in the right spot? I have a technical document. There's 48 pieces that have to go in exact order to put this back together. I honestly don't have a high confidence level I'm going to be able to do this, but it's winter time. What else have I got to do? It's 10 days later. I'm waiting for some tools to arrive in the mail, and then I am going to put this watch back together.
Failure is not an option.
When the watch came apart, parts fell out at random, but I can't put those back in out of order. To really make this happen, I'm going to need to remove the hour, minute, second hand from the front of the watch, as well as a chronograph hand. Once those are removed, I'll be able to lift up 2 small metal wheels. That's going to allow me to put the watch back together in the proper order, and then put those wheels back, and then at the end, the hands will be reattached. So I'm waiting for a hand puller, which also doubles, or there's more parts in it to actually put the hands back on. That was one thing I ordered. Ordered an eyepiece so I can see and then use both my hands. I ordered some synthetic watch oil, and the last thing I ordered was a set of tweezers, which are non-metallic. There are 3 very tiny parts called rotors, which are incredibly powerful in terms of magnetism. And when I first tried to put it back together, I used toothpicks to maneuver these things, and it was just so time-consuming. So I did receive the tweezers, but I'm waiting on all the other stuff. All that stuff combined was under $30, which is great. So for 30 bucks, I'm going to be able to take a real solid crack at putting this thing back together. So right now, I just want to show you some of the things I've learned along the way. That is a regular household staple. These are coils that are used to turn these 3 little devices or parts, which are rotors. And I'm not going to go too close because these rotors are the pieces that are magnetic, and I don't want them to get sucked up onto my camera or something, but if I zoom in, you can see some gears. So there's 3 sets of coil rotor and the little holder that goes with them on the watch, and it turns out they're not interchangeable. It took me a little bit of time to figure out the difference. Can you tell what's different about those 3? Probably the color is a giveaway. The one on the right has a slightly different color on the coil. I can't really capture it on the camera phone, but the ones on the left have thicker coil, more windings than that one on the right. So that one on the right is unique, and it has a unique rotor. These two are silver colored, but this one has a slight brass color to it, and it is a slightly different shape. So in looking through my diagram, I realized that two sets of rotors and coils have the same part numbers, but one set is different. So I'm going to have to be very careful when I put this back together to put the right one in the right place. But this gives you an idea of the small size we're talking about. So it is very tedious. Well, after a very long wait, everything is here. Less than $30. Set of tweezers, synthetic oil. This gizmo is for installing watch hands. This one's for removing them. And a little 5X eye loop. So let's see if I can get the hands off the front of the watch. Put some plastic over the hands that need to come off. To protect the face. All three hands are off. Up on 1 hour. I have the 3 coils in, and of the 3 rotors, center screen, 1, 2 is in. This third little guy keeps wanting to jump out. It's very magnetic. So I might just leave it where it is, and then when I put the little plastic wheels on, I know they'll hold it in place. We'll see how that goes. Well, it's been 45 minutes since I was here last. And I'm saying that is everything that needed to go in before the cover goes over all those little wheels. That piece is called a train wheel bridge. I don't know if this is going to work. And the reason I say that is in the 45 minutes I've been at this, just you got to have nerves of steel. The tiniest little tremor in your hand will knock 3 or 4 of these things out of place. So the thought of being able to lay a cover over and get all these little pins, or most of these little pins lined up, you're talking about some crazy odds. And I just don't know if I have the patience, but we're going to try it. This, by the way, is the train wheel bridge. And there's at least 10 little tiny holes, as you can see. I'm going to turn that thing upside down and place it on top of that pretty much perfectly. Since my last video, it's been about 20 minutes. One of the little magnetic rotors jumped out of place. It just wouldn't stay in place. And I needed to keep resetting it. And little plastic wheels kept popping out of place. It was just a disaster. Then I couldn't find the rotor. It went flying. It turned out it went down one of those holes. Anyway, it was really looking bad, guys. It was looking like catastrophic failure. And then all of a sudden, everything was in place. And I put this little plastic train wheel bridge over, and it literally just fell right on. I think it's good. Any further, I just wanted to show this is the capacitor. This is what caused all the problems. Turn it over, you can see there's little lugs on it. And so it's a little more than just a regular battery. So it needs to go right in that little circular area. 2 very, very tiny springs sticking up, one there, one there. They popped out when I disassembled. I could not figure out where they went. Process of elimination, figuring out all the other holes that were used for screws. That's where I put them. This is called a mode switch spring, a little trapezoid looking thing or whatever, 5-sided shape. No indication of whether it should spring up or down, so I took my best guess. It's time to put on that, which the instructions, I call it a circuit board. The instructions call it a unit of electronic circuit. 3-hour mark. The unit of electronic cover is on. The new capacitor is installed. Well, we're about the 310 mark, and the innards are back together. I'm speechless. I put the second hand on, and it started moving. It's the next day, and she's still ticking. That's the good news. However, the bad news is that the hour and minute hand have not moved at all. Why is this? I'm not really sure. 2 possibilities come to mind. One is that one of those little rotors was somehow not aligned right when I put the train wheel bridge on, and it is now stuck in place and unable to turn. The other thing is I might have possibly lost one of the gear wheels. I did a lot of research on this when everything went down, and what I found out is this diagram applies to multiple watches that use this movement. Mine is the 085, but not all of the watches that use this use every single one of these parts. And according to the parts list, my watch does not use this little guy, which is called a minute wheel and pin number 2. So it's possible I lost that, but I did a forensic search of this whole area, carpet, desk, everything, I mean on my hands and knees, and didn't find anything. And I really think I would have if I dropped it. So I really don't think I lost it. Maybe one day, like when I'm homesick for a week, I might open this thing back up, but I think for now, it's just going to go in a box, and it's just going to be something that was a project I messed with one day. It's 21 years old. It wouldn't have made sense to send it out and pay to have it repaired, especially since the watch I got to replace this was not that expensive and has just so many cool features and is a much nicer watch. But this was a fun little project. I learned a lot. I have tremendous respect for the people who design and work on these things for a living. So most of the time when I try projects like this, I usually do okay. But every now and then, I just can't fix it. And this is one of those times.
Man's got to know his limitations.